Nice TV, the home of joy.
Muera ruta geso egeakwa oikia ni ocio mwendaine nake akenjokeria niwe oithete thaka wake tiga njuko mboko ya igira matunda ateti meru lemon nigotua etwathena nilie na mwendwa kinyata thaithato ngegeragia kumuonereria taũrĩa njũĩ kinya rĩtwa ocio mendaine twaririe gĩkũyũ gĩgĩthira kĩmwarũka na gĩthũkũ let me have my ring back to see let me have it before don't punish me so much. Don't keep on singing lyrics. Don't try to change your mind, my love. Kavotini kiara odienakeo. Kavotini kiara odienakeo.
Mugithi live na goko ni kwa Nice TV na niko na Dadu in the area
kabisa
na niketo Wairimu wa Gatuire tuende kazi
gokolilika mwendo imamona Muini ngalera tazotherereria thome negotukire oi kwanyu nekũraihu mwendwa ũgĩgĩkatea ũmathayo mwendwa wakwa sikwenda gwakwa ũmathayo mwendwa wakwa sikwenda gwakwa
na tuwe live on Facebook ona mwena wa YouTube tulio live mwena wa Facebook ni Nice TV
koronde mathagu makwa wanyona ndirisha-inĩ yanyu koro kwahoteka mwendwa ũtukũ tuĩka mũthenya njũka ngũĩmbĩirie mwendwa yanagĩria kayo komathayũ mwendwa wakwa sikwenda gwakwa komathayũ mwendwa wakwa sikwenda gwakwa mwendwa ndirionge ndĩrĩgĩrĩire nowe mwendwa ona niĩ ndĩnyitĩte rũthĩa mwendwa ndĩciragia ũrĩa tũgatũrania mwendwa ngarana yakwa nĩ yakwendire mwendwa mwendwa ndirionge ndĩrĩgĩrĩire nowe mwendwa ngũkũruta gũtũraga mwendwa ngarana yakwa nĩ yakwendire mwendwa mũthuriguo nĩ anyuaga mang'a no nginya ũkamũthũkĩria getha acoke gwaku atĩ mwendwa ndĩronire mũthuriguo akĩnyua mang'a mwendwa taiga mwendwa gĩcagi gwitũ ndĩra tuthiete gucera nawe gwitu kijiji wakoma wakirira tukokeitha na nduge kweri wakoma wakirira tukokeitha na nduge kweri ithe wathiire gwika uru kuya indo cia Wairimu mirangeti yake nane ndio na nguo na kinanda na irato na mashuka make karonde ndatoragia kindo na irato na mashuka mothe Wairimu ndatoragia kindo onake ngenyitwo nĩ mahĩtia maku ngũtuĩte mũrata na ngĩtoro nginya borithi ngamere kũrĩa mangĩkuona tondũ moririe andũ makĩrwo kĩombo ũyũ nĩ tũrarĩ nawe tondũ moririe andũ makĩrwo kĩombo ũyũ nĩ tũrarĩ nake endimeni magĩũka gwitũ na thigari ciake na chigo yanyitwo makĩhũrahũra mũrango fungua tondũ moririe andũ makĩrwo enjaki nĩ tũrarĩ nawe gĩthweri gĩaku nĩ ndanyita we cuma ndũkageria kũra wahuthũka huwe filimbi mwĩkio ruti mwenda nĩ andũ wĩtuĩte mũgetha kwana we cuma ndũraigua wĩtuĩte mũgetha kwana we cuma ndũraigua Eniogo kanake Carolina nijoe ne onyanda Carolina neo ene kwandate Carolina nijoe ne onyanda Carolina neo ene kwandate irikana ndagokorire thitĩnji amwĩki wĩroreirwo ta wĩ mbica ngĩkwĩra twehere gĩcege-inĩ kĩa andũ tũkĩingĩra rongono ti kĩrabu ngĩkwĩra twehere gĩcege-inĩ kĩa andũ tũkĩingĩra rongono ti kĩrabu ndũmĩrĩri cia Facebook nĩ na mbere na kũingĩra. Asante sana wenye wako online waona ugetia ngoko nokenyita mochuba na twarangio Kenya nda Carolina ugetia ngoko nokenyita mochuba na twarangio Kenya nda Carolina Joseph Pogwa akimwona Carolina leo ene kwenda taye Carolina enjoy ne onyenda Carolina leo ene kwenda taye Carolina enjoy ne onyenda Rotsmate na kuona uraiga wendani sana Arome Junior na wende kuona Likana ndagokorira thitenji biroreirwo nyando tawe visa Ngekwira twere gĩcege-inĩ kĩa andũ tũkĩingĩra rongono ti kĩrabu ũgĩtia ngũkũ nokenyita mũcuba na twarangio Kenya nda Carolina ũgĩtia ngũkũ Tokenyita musubai na twarangio Kenya na Carolina.
Jona mnadao ndako na uraiga tune in. Magikimuri na wenda kuna sema ndani ndani.
Unanaletia to. Ele nanginya kore atato ndone kuwa kore. Tirere araga ndito. Unanaletia to. Ele nanginya kore atato ndone kuwa tuli.
Oh shika. Mugithi live. Nago kwende kuwa Nice TV.
Naruona narumenya oyarata Tireka yaga ndaito kundetare ndume Ndiraina ndemuhe ohoro oyarata Kemakaiga yarwanio ikuago narwanio Kethikereria mĩciĩ mĩingĩ oyara Mwanage wetia mugondo na ke andu anira Irereria mĩciĩ mĩingĩ oyara Mwanage wetia mugondo na ke andu anira
MC Mira kona enda kuona unasema Carolina iko juu tu sana. Jona kumwona wewe enda kuona unasema niko juu.
Goliane kwengethia ndeitha thenarele Nagwetha gotire atare na thena Goliane kwengethia ndeitha thenarele
Nagwetha gotire atare na thena
Ndeciria thie amwe kingehithe kuo
Gakora kou thena waketia mwaki
Ndeciria thie amwe kingehithe kuo
Gakora kou Wairimu waketia mwaki
Ndeciria thie kasarani ngaikare kuo
Gakora kou thena waketia mwaki
Ndeciria thie amu ngaikare kuo
Gakora kou kou waketia mwaki
Eni oguo
Okay Reba Oshika
Ndeciria thie karatina ngaikare kuo
Gakora kou thena waketia mwaki
Ndeciria thie amwe kingendia nguo
Gakora kou Wairimu waketia mwaki Kiadu wananzi na wale nakunu nasema kabisa tuendete Magi Kibri na kono egiona unasema huyo jamaa ameiva Mugithi kabisa Muko tu Asante sana
Azungu ndoiga ndeario gatene Baba na maito ndoiga monjoere Nemwanjiarire na mutimenyaga Indi wanje witagwo kwĩrirĩria Mũiki mũthaka ti niĩ ndomire Nĩ Ngai ũrĩa wombire thĩ na igũrũ Aya ikia Nairobi kũnyoroka Makũri makũria iki kwagĩra Besheni ya iki kwenyũra Mĩhuko ya arũme kuona marima
Beatrice tuwacho na wale nakunu nasema watching
Awantondo na wewe mundurume Ona wewe maitho niwe onera Weike irato-inĩ ici cia mũrũguo Ũtue ciroyo na werethe ndani Ititwendi ya goya embu Kũhonokia kĩngatha ici ciĩbara Aikia Nairobi kũnyoroka Makũria iki kwagĩra Besheni ya iki kwenyũra Mĩhuko ya arũme gũtarũka
Yale mataringaga maitho mbaine we Yawe gũtarũkagia biũ
Njĩrĩgĩte kũrĩo ngiri 10
Okay
cia kũrĩara ndirondi Nairobi Ngĩikorokerera arĩa Miami
Haya
Kiona mũikio ana nja wa Wairimu Ndonyithaka ta iria cia Wairimu ngĩikũrũka gwakwa mũciĩ ndiaragia aya ikia Nairobi kũnyoroka bakũri bakũria iki kwagĩra besheni ya iki kwenyora ikanda cia nduthi kuona marima
sigoni zimago nenda kumagona kanda cia nduthi na kanda cia nduthi cionagĩrwo mũno
nĩkĩ eno ngĩona kĩrogire nĩ amakĩtio nĩ kanda cia nduthi
nĩkĩ
ndiramenya onake nĩ tũkũmũria maithe
nĩ egũtũma ya njeo
Janaro
okay cheza
mapothe mwendo anendarega mwaria nonge rĩrĩa tũrĩ nawe ona koro nĩ wandĩra cianyu nĩ ndarega na ndikwenda ciũria
kuona Mugithi live
cio nĩ katini yaku na nĩwe otio watwarwo rũmande tondũ ũira warutwo igoti-inĩ maratheta na ngaga nĩ ũndũ waku tua mwana thiĩ nake ndĩ mũrwaru na rĩkoro nĩegũtwarwo kamĩtĩ nĩ ndarega gũcokwo na thutha ona nũgũ tiarega no itũio itheneke oyaga rũtha agũtware mũgithi wa rũa harĩ ekomo koigane kĩrũmi nĩ ndarega ona mĩgithi ĩyo tua mwana thiĩ nake ndĩ mũrwaru na rĩkoro nĩegũtwarwo kamĩtĩ nĩ ndarega gũcokwo na thutha ona nũgũ ciarega no itũire nĩ ndarega biũ niĩ
ona niĩ ndikwenda ndĩna kea mũno niĩ ndanduge nĩũndũ wa kairĩtu twendanĩte ngwĩre kamũiki tũcokire tũgĩtigana thutha wa rĩrĩa ageciririe no tũtigane tũcokire tũgĩtigana Wairimu thutha wa rĩrĩa ageciririe no tũtigane bambara bambara arata bambara bambara gĩcambanio gĩa gatangara tondũ igandihota nĩrĩ wambĩte ũkariganĩrwo ciathanaga ikĩgwa ikĩũmbũka itikoragwo amwe andũ matũire matiganĩte mũndũ agathiĩ makena ũrĩa ũngĩ makendana nongĩ andũ matũire matiganĩte mũndũ agathiĩ makena ũrĩa ũngĩ makendana nongĩ bambara bambara arata bambara bambara gĩcambanio gĩa gatangara tondũ igandihota bambara bambara gĩcambanio gĩa gatangara tondũ igandihota ona niĩ ndihota
nĩ ndarega
hata mimi simezani hiyo
nĩrĩ wambĩte ũkariganĩrwo ciathanaga ikĩgwa ikĩũmbũka itikoragwo ndũgũ andũ matũire matiganĩte mũndũ agathiĩ makena ũrĩa ũngĩ makendana nongĩ Andu matuire matiganite Wairimu mundu agathie makena uria ungi makena na nongi bambara bambara arata bambara bambara icambanio gia gatangara tanie ndihota bambara bambara arata bambara bambara icambanio gia gatangara tanie ndihota
yatonadie
ndale ndutigege cambanio Wairimu koiguaga uru tondu ni tondanire nongi andu matuire matiganite mundu agathie makena uria ungi hakaikio ni ungi andu matuire matiganite Wairimu mundu agathie makena uria ungi makenda na nongi bambara 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 icambanio gia gatangara tanie ndihota igakwa kabiribiri kangoro kamwene atike moiragia ngoro igakwa kabiribiri kamwene atike moiragia ngoro Okui nimandiguaga mbugi ahuragirwo king'ora ndangigua ongaga nyina komete ari mukuo okorwo niwe cukari ndikonywa wegithie tucemanagiria bara nie ndigwo ningurera ciana ciakwa wendo ninjũĩ ti wa mũndũ ũmwe wathira ndikwĩringĩrĩria I swear. Inaga Wairimu rimwe githumo ndainuka ithandũkũ ndũngĩnjaũra no ngeithingĩragia nĩ maĩndota awayu eroka muo mundandi wegethie tũcemanagĩrie bara nie ndigwo nĩngũrera ciana ciakwa wendo ninjũĩ ti wa mũndũ ũmwe wathira ndikwĩringĩrĩria rĩngĩ
I swear. Haina haja
awakũingata
kĩũrarũga
ũrũraiga ng'ombe ndũrũmu yakwa atĩ nĩngũnungagĩria magũrũ wegethie tũcemanagĩria bara nie ndigwo nĩngũrera ciana ciakwa wendo ninjũĩ ti wa mũndũ ũmwe wathira ndikwĩringĩrĩria rĩngĩ nyũmba ĩno ũroigathiĩ rumu yakwa ndendeirio nĩ milionea wa mami nĩũĩ nakoretwo agĩa wabici tuonanĩire metro kĩrabu-inĩ wegethie tũcemanagĩrie bara nie ndigwo nĩngũrera ciana ciakwa wendo ninjũĩ ti wa mũndũ ũmwe wathira ndikwĩringĩrĩria rĩngĩ
I swear. Haina haja
awakũingata
tena nĩ tene
ũingĩraga ũrĩrĩ na mbũrũni kaĩndagĩire mĩgwĩta ya njege ũroiga ngomembe ndũrũmu yakwa atĩ nĩngũnungagĩria magũrũ wegethie tũcemanagĩrie bara nie ndigwo nĩngũrera ciana ciakwa wendo ninjũĩ ti wa mũndũ ũmwe wathira ndikwĩringĩrĩria rĩngĩ awakũingata nene kikiragenia waikunda mitheko rora njogu na kangethe no kungethia maraikeria witambuthi muthi na nguthi Kenya ndiragĩtetera na Kenya ti ũcũrũ na gũtirĩ ũkĩrũndagwo kaheo kĩa inya kunda kĩndũ na ciacika njũkĩra mũkaguo njoinde ĩtaniĩ tiga wegĩtira ĩtũmaga ngorwo mang'a ona ndahara ngeigua gĩtang'a ndĩ mang'a 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 mũrũ wa mũndũ atanauma thĩ nĩetanire kuma kĩroko koeko akĩrorana akiuga canja mũrĩ andũ kĩrorana igũrũ eũgũra kĩona maĩ kĩmatua ndivei kĩmera nĩtũnyue tũinũke twĩ mang'a njoinde ĩtaniĩ tiga wegĩtira ĩtũmaga ngorwo mang'a ona ndahara ngeigua gĩtang'a ona itarĩ mbia ndĩ mang'a mang'a mũru wayo ndĩwethaga ndiwonaga ndĩrĩoka gũkũng'etia ĩyo mĩkorago gacoko koiga nĩ njũru cindwe Satan njoinde ĩtaniĩ tiga wegĩtira ĩtũmaga ngorwo mang'a ona ndahara ngeigua gĩtang'a ndĩ mang'a mang'a
Facebook live ona kũrĩa mwena wa YouTube tuko live
Enioga
Wokanakia
igua irio cia wa mũcoka tondu kuma
matwagĩire matanya
kana gaka gakwarĩ ona itĩna gũtindĩra gũkoma ime-inĩ ona kũrarĩ gĩtuĩka omba itũra-inĩ rĩa kongo-inĩ gũtindĩra gũkoma ime-inĩ ona kũrarĩ gĩtuĩka omba itũra-inĩ rĩa kongo-inĩ jamba nĩyo ĩrĩa yanyendire agi nĩyo kũmũheo atĩ ona kici nĩyo kũmũheo kĩonaga raibu
na sijifichi
nĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩkĩgĩk ende mama ndetagoku anginyete andu yokandu agamenyere yo gitomo na nie njaisi nginya kwemena igicokia karari kiaria ndarumeirwo yo gitomo na nie njaisi nginya kwemena igicokia karari kiaria ndarumeirwo jamba neo iria yanyendire ate hagineo ngomoya kiona ate ona kisineo wango moya woigwago so ni sigo siako no bitango na sio edi nekege ganiora ndirare nie gekege gotomo aneta mundu kugoya no endera mama ndetago aku aginyete andu yokandu agamenyere yo gitomo na nie njaisi nginya kwemena igicokia karare kiaria ndarumeirwo yo gitomo na nie njaisi nginya kwemena igicokia karare kiaria ndarumeirwo jamba neo iria yanyendira agineo ngomoya kionaga ationa kisineo ngomoya woyi life ida koida wow I swear ate jamba neo iria yanyendira aiga hagineno ngomoya kionaga ithatũ mere moke na baba moke mangere gukoza kabujinga thina nĩ mũingĩ na gũtirĩ ibarũa mũndũ angĩrĩmia ũyũ nĩ mũtumia na ciana ithatũ na nyũmba nĩ ya gũkombora nĩ moke kaĩke mere moke gũkũ nĩ tũgũkuĩra na ciana ciaku na moke na karũri moe indo ciaku ona korwo nĩ kĩaicoya ndingĩrara gũthiĩ na tukũ ĩni ũguo ĩna wanyanjĩrĩrie ndabutũĩra kũrĩa ndandĩkĩtwo gũcũconga ndarĩagwo ciringi 40 mũthenya ngeria mbaũ ya gatheri karanji njĩra ici ngĩndĩ mũtu kana nĩ ciana na Wairimu witũ no aretia mĩkabu ĩkĩkaĩke yũmere moke gũkũnia nĩ ngũkuĩra na ciana ciakwa na moke na karori moe indo ciakwa ona korwo nĩ kĩaicoya ndingĩrara na yanjĩrĩrie ndabutwo inoro kũrĩa ndandĩkĩtwo kũinaga mũgithi ndarĩagwo ciringi 40 mũthenya ngeria mbaũ ya gatheri karanji njĩra ici ingĩ nĩ mũtu kana nĩ ciana na Wairimu no aranjĩtia cia mĩkabu ĩkaĩkewe yũmere moke gũkũnia nĩ ngũkuĩra na ciana ciakwa na moke na karori moe indo ciakwa ona korwo nĩ kĩgũkũ ndingĩrara ndegerai matũ tũruge ciambetie tondũ mĩciĩ mĩingĩ arata nĩ mĩaũkanu ine koragwo kana nĩ kerumi mũndũ aragia na indo nginya gatigĩra research ĩrĩa ndĩrekire ĩranyonia kaingĩ mĩciĩ ĩrĩ na indo na kũu nĩkururagia na wathiĩ wenorainĩ katambura ngomeno ya mĩciĩ nĩ tani cigana oya wowo Wairimu meke ũhora mũndũ aragia mbeca nginya getigĩra na wendo na thayũ itimumaga ikuĩ research ĩrĩa ndĩrekire nĩranyonia kaingĩ mĩciĩ ĩrĩ na indo na kũu nĩwekururagia na wathiĩ mũingĩ wenorainĩ katambura
Mwanzolo nenda kuona nasema mani Dadu ako stop sana
kabisa
Beatrice Duati nenda kuona wena rwĩmbo araria Pepe Jam nenda kuona Jenu wa Githurai Abũibaga thimweko na wauliza waingie ndani ya Mugithi Beatrice Duati nenda kuona rĩngĩ ũraigua kaigua we maga
nĩ moke pia
ũyũ
nĩ mũtumia nĩ mwandĩke wĩra mweri wathira kongererwo cheo na wainainũka marĩ na mũrũme mũndũ rumu yake Ngai teithia mĩciĩ research ĩrĩa ndĩrekire ĩranyonia kaingĩ mĩciĩ ĩrĩ na indo wenda kũu nĩkururagia na wathiĩ majengo wendo ĩtĩkatambura
Aisua
ĩni ũguo
ũkanage Nice TV
nĩ mũtumia nĩ mwandĩke wĩra mweri wathira kongererwo cheo na wainainũka marĩ na mũrũme mũndũ rumu yake Ngai teithia mĩciĩ research ĩrĩa ndĩrekire ĩranyonia kaingĩ mĩciĩ ĩrĩ na indo wenda kũu nĩwekururagia na wathiĩ majengo ciro nĩ kũrĩ ũrĩtwo magego namo amunyono icio nĩ nguo nĩ ndarũkũ Isyanekuga nendaruku Tepa mondo mogi mati mwana Tepa mondo mogi mati mwana Kerara twana twakuaga Dokana rere tugutungie Tugage mondo mogi mati mwana Tugage mondo mogi mati mwana Kwirago tige joy Kajoria kano tige wangage Kajera tige sara leo tuko Takwera tige sara leo tuko Yekiuga teona wende mwana Kerere toana tokuega Dokana lele tugutungia Tugage mondo mogi mati mwana Tugage mondo mogi mati mwana Kiuga no ari mwele Nikendo kiuga neko meno Nitwakoreria tokenoga Nitwakoreria tokenoga Kiuga mondo mogi mati mwana Kiuga mondo mogi mati mwana Kerere twana twakuega Dokana rere tugutungie Kiuga mondo mogi mati mwana Kiuga mondo mogi mati mwana Endo kiuga ndo ari mwela Nikendo kiuga neko meno Nitwakoreirie tukenoga Nitwakoreirie tukenoga Tukiuga mondo mogi mati mwana Tukiuga mondo mogi mati mwana Kerere twana twakuega Dokana rere tugutungie Tiugaga mondo mogi mati mwana Tiugaga mondo mogi mati mwana
Okay. Reba. Goshika. Eta kwa mani Dadu.
Kabisa Kaiga karya kare wero Nikoga tuma unige Kaiga karya kare wero Nikoga tuma musie Kaiga karya kare wero Nikoga tuma musie
Oh my.
Nyatianda gwekire na nduge Twarereria tucokano Nyatianda gwekire na nduge Cia murara nicio njoru Nyatianda gwekire na nduge Cia murara nicio njoru
Ate maria wala njekande maige
Asori yaku
Kunoya katua Yendo kondori ya romanda Ena wando wasabe
Ndo kondori ya romande
Na wando wasabe
Maria wana njekande maige Asori yaku noya kanwa Maria wana njekande maige Asori yaku noya kanwa
Sherian Wendo wa 77 najua hii ni your favorite
Nyatianda gwekira na nduge Twarereria tucokano Nyatianda gwikire na nduge cia murara nicio njuru. Nyatianda gwikire na nduge cia murara nicio njuru. Iwe rumana 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 tu uri rumonge akwonie kanyoni wangethe. We rumana 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 tu uri rumonge akwonie kanyoni wangethe. Ritwa mutheni ritwa rigoro muno na ndugacoke kunjita na matharau. Ritwa mutheni ritwa rigoro muno na ndugacoke kunjita na matharau. Wenda mutheni nduthie ugakore gukaguo kana ndani acio kamete mutheni. Wenda mutheni nduthie ugakore gukaguo kana ndani acio kamete mutheni. Uranjita mutheni muhatire iwira uriku hetwo ngare mukuruta. Uranjita mutheni ndi mukuru ini wira uriku hetwo ngare mukuruta. Wenda mutheni nduthie ugakore gukaguo ikana ndani acio kamete mutheni. Wenda mutheni nduthie ugakore gukaguo kana ndani acio nomete mutheni. Ritwa mutheni ritwa rigoro muno ndugacoke kunjita na matharau. Ritwa mutheni ritwa rigoro muno ndugacoke kunjita na matharau. Ati ritwa mutheni ritwa rigoro muno ndugacoke kunjita na matharau. Wenda mutheni nduthie ugakore gukaguo.
Egisaki Zeji kinya
Ndiare mugunda ikareira mugamba wa ikombe. Jetereire mukona vanga na vanga thaganie marigo kianda. Jetereire mukona vanga na vanga thaganie marigo kianda.
Sheria na kuona nasema kabisa sana. Beatrice twake na wewe kuona
wa adilia kendidia moeki ngwataraira nikongo kuria na gete kana ndirona wego tueke wako. Nikongo kuria na gete kana ndirona wega tueke wako. Jiki ndienda na konjerera nikongo kuria na gete kana ndirona wega tuikaranie. Nikongo kuria na gete nama wega tuikaranie. Kule monagia thikaririku tondu makeranagia na nyoni magathie gwetha gacoko tuku. Wamurora mandare onake nati akiri atahothagira na nikore komaga kaigania na minoga iguaga na geni na ndokaigua tini araragira ndebeva ya ngai etutoragia indo ciothe niwe waciombire iria ciothe ithuĩ tũrirageria nicio kenanĩria heanaga tikĩo kĩa andũ kana kwĩga imahete indo moyo na mbia kawega kanini nĩ kaiganu mũcaranagĩre na thamaki. Tũrigicĩirio manĩ mĩtino tha cia Ngai tũgitagĩra ona indo ciaku no cikũnine Ngai mwene ũcihoreragia ũcio mũrata mũranyitana na gwĩka kĩondo riganĩre nĩ kũrĩ wĩiguaga mũrata agacoka nyumba kehingira nĩbĩba ya Ngai ĩtũtũragia indo ciothe nĩwe waciũmbire iria ciothe ithuĩ tũriragĩria nĩcio kĩna nĩwe ũheanaga ti kĩo kĩa andũ kana kũhĩga kĩmahete indo muoyo na mbia kawega kanini nĩ kaiganu ũcaranagĩre na thamaki mũciari ndũkamene mwanake wamwona hakuhĩ na mwarĩguo kana wamwona ũkoima na ithanoa amba woye ihindo matarage kaboro no ciano kamũmenya na ndũhũĩ kũrĩa ũngĩmũruta kwĩna ũngĩmonanaga na thiri macongĩrĩro kanjia kwĩrira nĩbĩba ya Ngai ĩtũtũragia indo ciothe nĩwe waciũmbire iria ciothe ithuĩ tũriragĩria nĩcio kĩna nĩwe ũheanaga ti kĩo kĩa andũ kana kũhĩga kĩmahete indo muoyo na mbia kawega kanini nĩ kaiganu mũcaranagĩre na thamaki nĩbĩba ya Ngai ĩtũtũragia indo ciothe nĩwe waciũmbire iria ciothe ithuĩ tũriragĩria nĩcio kĩna nĩwe ũheanaga ti kĩo kĩa andũ kana kũhĩga kĩmahete indo muoyo na mbia kawega kanini nĩ kaiganu mũcaranagĩre na thamaki
tũthiĩ na beats
yes
ĩna ihenya kidogo
yes
tuhote gũthũngũtha tondũ mũthĩ ndirĩ ndĩraigua tũĩkĩte atĩ kĩrĩa exactly sasa hapo yathiri mũndũ uma na cio igũrũ rĩu nĩekũhota kũruta
ĩni
ahote gwĩthĩra
Kando nĩ mũru ũtũmaga mũndũ atangĩmwenda kana ũtangĩmũtua ndari ambere ngoro-inĩ ũtiarĩ mahĩtia makwa kuga nĩ ndakwendete na kwendana gwitũ ndari kwarĩ mahĩtia waĩmbagĩria mũnyendi ũkambata mwĩrĩ ũkaũra kisi kaigua ndirĩ ũndũ ndigĩtie ũkanjĩraga ndũngĩenda kũimagini ũrĩa kũngaikara titikorwo tũtigane ndoraga mbica yaku ĩrĩa wewaĩire ndamenya nĩwandigire gaita maithori ndakũhea ndureci ciakwa inya ithathatũ mũgwanja andĩka marũa mwendwa mũrangane megũkinya no makũkinyĩra ĩni Rosarini koro wanyona no ũringwo nĩ tha ona ũrĩa ndahinyarire nĩ gũgwĩtiria mwendo korokoro ya munyo kana munya na njine tikara itarĩ ngoro gĩtũmi no nyende ũrigani njatana mweri-inĩ aira awendo witũ nawe ona Wairimu koro no orio no ige atena kũigua kĩnjĩra ndũkandigaĩ ando waku ndari-inĩ wathũkirie kũrĩa kwega ndoraga mbica yaku ĩrĩa wewaĩte namenya nĩwandigire ita maithori ndakũhea ndureci ciakwa inya ithathatũ mũgwanja andĩka marũa mwendwa nĩndoka ngwĩra nĩ sorry nĩnjũĩ njuma nĩndakũhĩtĩirie nĩũĩ wega kĩaraira mũciĩ na thimo ciaku switi ndioyaga na thimo ciaku switi ndioyaga Wairimu nĩwe wathũkĩirie kamarĩ tondũ okire Nairobi na Gatuire ndĩna mwĩro ũĩ ndio gĩcagi no ndarĩ thĩka kuona njũĩ anja no ndarĩ thĩka kuona zaidi chiki onana nake ũthiũ kwa ũthiũ Kemoya tu gediari kwene kashi Une oe utiandagi osoro Satande kwera neto adokirie Satande kwera neto adokirie Mami newe adokiria kamare Sando akire emwe kinanda toire Ena mwera oe ndio gechagi Ondare deka kuona juri anja Ondare deka kuona jangiri enge
Aya, tidi dauga Nemani Dadu igashia
Takinyaga wake Tindoge kyanga Modhoni akiuga Thigane aruga Tokere ara Na tokere asaba Namwera nyu Mami newe Wadhokeiria kamare Tondo akire Nairobi nanda toire Ena mwero Uende ogesagi Nondare theka kuona njui anja Nondare theka kuona side chick
Side chick matira idero
Eri no materia mundu by the way
Ndomende vea makare ya
Na umana kanyamate ukogorete otwarire family Akari ogwa side chick
Inaitwa masaibu
Anyuire sai Na tokere aranji Tokere asapa Na tokere andina Ndamwiraga
Please wacha niende
Nake akanjira Ndanduo koi momani
Gokuo koi
Nake
momani
akanjira Goko koi momani Mami newe Wadhokeiria kamare Tondo akire Nairobi nanda toire Dena mwira Uende ogesagi Nondare theka kuona njui anja Nondare theka kuona jangiri enge
Wa Ucio ni mani Dadu agwata leo tu Wairimu wa Gatuire
Eni Sige karango na nienda ndungi makamono Teoria ngara ineka ego koi Ngwase karanga ngona ndo irende agasiambo iro Abina chiero Keriga nero nesugondare Tone wawa mojiari Ndeka kamiake komi Monka mwero ne magambo nani Kemo iki moda kamane Getumera kiarome Amina chieronda Amina chieronda we momba Gano dhaka waku wa utuire iria ciarume Osajana giarume tangu ona ndore Emorimo waga ukimwi Amina chieronda Nandi kwenda guthukia ritwa yakwa gitumi ni tondu ninie kanjora wa mwiki Ndingenda kwaga gete githurano giki giukite utuikite misisi Dadu Amina chieronda
Amina chieronda
Amina chieronda we momba wega no uthaka waku wa utuire iria ciarume Osajanagia arume tangu ona niguo guthuki ni murimo wa ukimwi Amina chieronda
Sawa
Amina chieronda we momba no thaka waku Wautire iria chiarume Osajanagia arume tangu ona niguo guthukire ni murimo wa ukimwi
Amina chieronda Amina chieronda ni murimo Oteatirereta
Letigagiroe Turanga juga mwana mwanake atire mũrwaru nĩmenyete mwanake kuna ndũrĩaga ũkanyua kanuthu ũkarĩa mũgũka ũkanyua kanuthu ũkarĩa mũgũka ũnyuaga ngiri ũkarĩa bebte ũnyuaga ngiri ũkarĩa bebte nĩ ũrĩ wĩtagwo upus nginya mũtumia waku tarora manĩorire tondũ kũrorire akĩona ndũrĩ na future akĩikio nĩ ndaũ na makĩmenyana makĩgĩa ciana gĩtigwo rĩ kĩũmbani makĩgĩa ciana gĩtigwo rĩ mbacara ũnyuaga ngiri ũkarĩa bebte ũnyuaga ngiri ũkarĩa bebte nĩ ũrĩ njugaga mwanake atire mũrwaru no nĩmenyete mwanake kuna ndũrĩaga ũnyuaga ngiri ũkarĩa bebte ũnyuaga ngiri ũkarĩa bebte nĩ ũrimũ ũnyuaga ngiri ũkarĩa bebte ũnyuaga ngiri ũkarĩa bebte nĩ ũrimũ Nĩkwaingĩra mũjeshi ĩni rĩu mbĩta indo cia matharaita narĩ na itherũ reka twambe tũcindane rwĩmbo nake Gĩkũyũ nĩoigire waona mũno wemenya gũthonora ndangai ndakone tiga gũthekia tiga kũnguhĩrĩria tondũ tũngĩonwo nawe no kugĩrwo tiga gũthekia tiga kũnguhĩrĩria tondũ tũngĩonwo nawe no kugĩrwo kaĩ gwathire atĩa we tondũ wakũragwo na warĩ baconi mandiapa marĩa wakinya ngokainainia kaĩ wathire ako tondũ atirĩ ona kĩ ndũgakorwo nĩ mũgeni witũ ũrerabaĩte we tondũ namũra nĩndĩrona sawa ona ndiretĩkia atĩ ũcio ti mũcuba na ũrĩa wetaga ndũngĩgĩnjwa kegi matatũ yaku yacuririe gũcuria ona ũngĩkua sare ndũngĩona atĩ matatũ yaku yacuririe gũcuria ona ũngĩkua bote ndũngĩona mwene kaĩ gwathire atĩa we tondũ wakũrogwo na warĩ baconi mandiapa marĩa wakinya ngokainainia kaĩ wathire akũ tondũ atirĩ ona kĩ gũkũ nĩ mwaki gũkũ wĩ karibu sana na ndĩrenda mani na Dadu itheme atũringĩre kĩrĩa rwĩmbo rũngĩ tũthiĩ chini kwa chini na mwĩrore ona ndiretĩkia atĩ ũcio ti mũcuba na ũrĩa wetaga ndũngĩnyua kĩi matatũ yaku yacuririe gũcuria ona ũngĩkua sare ndũngĩona mwene matatũ yaku wacuririe gũcuria ona ũngĩkua sare ndũngĩona mwene kaĩ gwathire atĩa we tondũ wakũrogwo na warĩ baconi mandiapa marĩa wakinya ngokainainia kaĩ wathire atirĩ ona kĩ Shariat nimekuona huko ndani ya mitambo je nikoviona nawe nenda kuona waboi wa mwake nawe nenda kunasema huko ndani sana chao abidi joho nawe nenda kuona John Bogwa nimesalamika sana salamu kutoka kwa SK Ambire wakinya na ivanzagi ya kegosi na muthini ũrĩa wa mũthĩngi wetagwo ngindi nĩmwanjĩkire mũno nĩ kwekama nĩkĩonjeragia ndeto ici ndandu ndĩkindeire nĩngĩtũgĩarũgĩra kĩmenyamenya mũrigo ũcio nĩ wakũra ndangiuga tũtiamwĩrĩte waka nĩgũtũma
twethie turathie
Anjiro wacege mami wa kaunti Murang'a na muthuri tate nguranga ithe wa Nyawira thengio muno ni inyu mwatumire ngena ritwa rĩrĩa kwarĩure igano ĩndĩ gũkaire Ngai amũrathime na mwaramberie mĩaka ng'otho icio nĩ cia kuma ngoro yakwa gĩtina. Asante.
Na ni wakati tunamalizia nĩguo tũkorwo tũgĩtigĩra mũgeni witũ. Araika gũkũ gwakanire mwaki. Ndana nĩambia gũitaga thitho by the way.
Wanjirũ wacege mami wa kaunti Murang'a na muthuri tate ngũraga ithe wa Nyawira Ngai amũrathime na mwaramĩrie mĩaka Mwangi wa Mandera na Lino wa Mbuku Shopu nĩ moraga njakire rĩa ndatio gũkoma ng'otho icio nĩ cia kuma ngoro yakwa gĩtina.
Asante.
Ngai mwega nĩ mũtangĩri wa ita mwamũkĩri magongona mandwairũ Ngai ũrĩ mbere tũtingĩhotwo nĩ thũ wene nyaga twakuoya tũkonana twĩ ithuothe kuma Ngong'u nginya karĩ matũra hĩndĩ ĩyo kĩeha nĩ gĩgathira Chamba cia ita
Nasi. Kio tana rekereria maneno.
nasi aliaito.
Exactly. Ndio gũthama. We karibu sana.
Karibu sana.
Fata nĩ ũgakorwo we ohete mũthiori njohero. Na twarabu gakoragwo twĩ magũrũ.
Akiona matharaita maria ndĩ namo.
We ngina ndirage gwĩtigĩra mani.
Gũkũ nĩkuo tũraingĩra rĩu.
Yes.
Thank you. Asa tũtigũtigwo. Reke twambe tuhe man edukanya. Akigeithia andũ tondie ndiramũhe kanya ga kũgeithia eroreri. Na nĩgetha mbere etagwo atia na bahe namba yake ya thimũ no ko hakĩrĩ mũndũ wĩ hau ũrabatara kana.
By the way mũndũ ũngĩnjĩtĩra wĩra.
Yes.
Niĩ njĩtagwo Dadu. Ndamũgeithia macambĩki makwa mothe harĩa mũrĩ. Na arata akwa othe mũndũ gwĩtwo Mirione na Joy nĩ mũnyitĩrĩire mũno. Ndĩramũcokeria ngatho na mafans yakwa othe. Facebook data Dadu. No thi hau ũkareke page yakwa na YouTube data Dadu. No like page yakwa. Na no ndibahe namba yakwa ya thimũ ya wĩra. Namba yakwa ya thimũ nĩ 0727 281 501 0727 281 501. Wahure ukijitira wĩra nĩtũgũteithania. Thank you.
Karibu sana. Na niĩ ngetwo Wairimu wa Gatuire na ngaiga nĩ thengio mũno. Na niĩ ngaiga nĩ thengio mũno nĩ eroreri aitũ arĩa othe matũma ndũmĩrĩri na arĩa othe matanatũma ndũmĩrĩri arĩa mekwĩroragĩra na kũu thutha wa hema tunasema asanti sana. Na rĩu twĩna mũgeni witũ etagwo nĩ ekwĩyuga reke ndĩmwe kahinda yuge nĩ ũkuona nĩ nyarari thaka mũno.
Imiji.
Ndio hiyo ni wale matile queen.
Ata ndiye sie queen Wairimu na ngakiuga nie ndona ũraria rwĩmbo piu.
Exactly. Nĩguo kwendaga. Nĩguo kwendaga.
Kana tũgĩtigwo hitu no rĩu thĩna wa rwĩmbo rwa rwitũ ti rwa kũrũgarũga.
Rũtiendaga ihenya.
Rũtiendaga ihenya rũu niĩ nani ngetwo Wangari Waithĩra kana Magikari.
Okay na Magikari nĩguo weta. Arakũrehera the cowgirl. Arakũrehera country music koguo ndũgakorwo ũgĩthiĩ haraihu na andũ arĩa mũrathi na mbere na kwĩrorera mũtumere matigakorwo makiuma haha Nice TV tondũ nĩgũkorwo kĩmarehera country
njega biũ
na ona ũguo rĩ nyamũ ya Joe Biden no ĩrathiĩ na mbere koguo nĩmegũkorwo magĩkwĩrorera na makona Joe Biden hanini. Yes.
Mũtigathiĩ haraihu mũikare oro hau nĩgetha tũkĩmũhe nyĩmbo iria cia mwaki thũngũtho rĩu ningĩ rĩu twambe tũgĩthiĩ iria cikorwo cihoreru.
Yeni
kuhorera
na itiendaga ihenya icio by the way no slow motion na kũinia ka waist kidogo
hanini
kana ndaetia
hasa ndaetetie
reke ithuĩ tũgũtige
okay
na nĩguo tumagare.
All right.
Kana nĩgũkoithia kamwega tumĩre nako
ijuĩrĩ abai mũrĩ Mugithi tuonane mũthenya ũcio ũngĩ.
Dadu ndũgĩtumĩrithie na kamwe.
We'll be a strong and trusted partner for peace, progress, and security. Look, you all know we've been through so much in this nation. And my first act as president, I'd like to ask you to join me in a moment of silent prayer. Remember all those who we lost in this past year to the pandemic. Those 400,000 fellow Americans, moms, dads, husbands, wives, sons, daughters, friends, neighbors, and coworkers. We'll honor them by becoming the people and the nation we know we can and should be. So I ask you, let's say a silent prayer for those who've lost their lives and those left behind, and for our country. Amen. Folks, this is a time of testing. We face an attack on our democracy and on truth, a raging virus, growing inequity, the sting of systemic racism, a climate in crisis, America's role in the world. Any one of these would be enough to challenge us in profound ways. But the fact is, we face them all at once, presenting this nation with one of the gravest responsibilities we've had. Now we're going to be tested. Are we going to step up, all of us? It's time for boldness, for there's so much to do. And this is certain. I promise you, we will be judged, you and I, by how we resolve these cascading crises of our era. We will rise to the occasion is the question. Will we master this rare and difficult hour? Will we meet our obligations and pass along a new and better world to our children? I believe we must. I'm sure you do as well. I believe we will. And when we do, we'll write the next great chapter in the history of the United States of America, the American story. A story that might sound something like a song that means a lot to me. It's called American Anthem. There's one verse that stands out, at least for me, and it goes like this. The work and prayers of century have brought us to this day. What shall be our legacy? What will our children say? Let me know in my heart when my days are through. America, America, I gave my best to you. Let's us add our own work and prayers to the unfolding story of our great nation. If we do this, then when our days are through, our children and our children's children will say of us, they gave their best, they did their duty, they healed a broken land. My fellow Americans, I close the day where I began, with the sacred oath. Before God and all of you, I give you my word. I will always level with you. I will defend the Constitution. I'll defend our democracy. I'll defend America. And I will give all of you, keep everything I do in your service, thinking not of power, but of possibilities, not of personal interest, but the public good. And together, we shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness, a story of decency and dignity, love and healing, greatness and goodness. May this be the story that guides us, the story that inspires us, and the story that tells ages yet to come that we answered the call of history. We met the moment. Democracy and hope, truth and justice did not die on our watch but thrived. That America secured liberty at home and stood once again as a beacon to the world. That is what we owe our forebears, one another, and generation to follow. So, with purpose and resolve, we turn to those tasks of our time, sustained by faith, driven by conviction, and devoted to one another and the country we love with all our hearts. May God bless America. and may God protect our troops. Thank you, America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Garth Brooks to perform Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. If I can ask you to sing this last verse with me, not just the people here, but the people at home, at work, as one, united. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Hard not to be reminded of
You're watching Nice TV, the home of joy.
Oh yes guku gwetwo Nice TV muciĩ wa gĩkeno guko nĩkuo tũkĩte mũthenya wa ũmũthĩ nĩgetha tũkĩhe nyĩmbo cia country music na toguo mũrakĩona ũmũthĩ mũrakĩona ndĩna njeci ĩngĩ ti ta ũrĩa tũkoragwo no ũmũthĩ twĩna njeci ĩngĩ acio angĩ nĩ mambire gũthiĩ hanini no nĩ megũgĩcokereria lakini kwanza tũigue ũrĩa metagwo na nĩkĩĩ magĩtũreheire. How are you?
Fine.
Aya Miji tutambulishe twĩre wĩtagwo atĩa?
Thank you. Naitwa Jessica Brown na nimetoka huko Cooperative Karen. Yes, Cooperative University. Nimewaletea country. Yes.
Country music.
Yes, country music.
Na ningĩ tukĩrĩ na our cowboy.
Nĩguo nĩ thengio mũno njĩtagwo David Josh nyumĩte kũrĩa mũciĩ wa Cooperative Karen ngamũrehera country music.
No mũthĩ mwakiuga mũke mũtũcanjamũre na nĩndĩrakĩmenyera ũrĩrĩ nĩ magũthiĩ na mbere na gũtwĩrorera tũgĩkwĩra ũthiĩ na mbere na gũtwandĩkĩra message ciaku ũgĩtwĩraga nĩ nyĩmbo irĩkũ ũrenda tũgũthakĩre gũkũ kwĩ mũciĩ wa Nice TV mũciĩ wa gĩkeno ukitaka kila kitu nĩ mũciĩ wa gĩkeno na tũkĩambĩrĩrie na rwĩmbo rwa mbere nĩgetha tũgĩgũtware na rethi tũigue mwaki nĩ wamenya nyuma hakuhĩ kũrĩra kũndũ kũngĩ no ndakiuga ĩhĩ ndĩna nguo cia jesi koguo kũu ũguo ndingĩũrĩra na ndaririkana ndĩna ageni koguo tũgakena mũno ũkorwo mwĩroreri witũ wĩ hau nyitia kanjong'wa gaku wega nĩgetha ũtwĩrore na tũgakĩkũririkania atĩ kũrĩa mwena wa YouTube nakuo tũkorwo tũkĩĩta YouTube Nice TV Kenya na kwa mwena wa Facebook ni mũciĩ wa gĩkeno Nice TV mũciĩ wa gĩkeno. Tuthiĩ na mbere tuanze na wimbo ya kwanza mututware fiu ndani
nima
There's a long train going down the line, feeding all the songs they're lost and crying. Rings of sins on river banks. Watch our brother for the long train. Look to the heavens, you can look to the sky. You can find redemption staring back into your eyes. There is protection, is the same. Burning a ticket for the long train. But you know there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Bring to the Father and His holy name. And don't go riding on the long train. There's an engine on the long train, making everyone wonder their eyes want the pain. He's just waiting on your heart to say, "Let me go riding on the long train." But you know there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Bring to the Father and His holy name. Don't go riding on the long train. But you know there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Bring to the Father and His holy name. Don't go riding on the long train. Well, like you're always from a mile away. Sounds so good, but I must stay away. That train. Me riding on the long train. But you know there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Bring to the Father and His holy name. One more time. Victory in the Lord, I said. Victory in the Lord. Great to the Father and His holy name. Don't go riding on the lone train.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. So atigeto mushi wa Nice TV ati victory in the Lord. Victory in the Lord I say.
Yes.
Mugo muthi twambiririe na kega ga kurikira.
Pio pio.
Ni kurikira ndani na mtaki mchezo.
Yes.
Na tugathi na mbere na gukikena muno mwiroreri witu tugakwira thi na mbere na gututumira SMS yaku ugitura ni request iriko ya rwimbo urenda na tugagikuririkania guku ni mucii wa Nice TV kana mucii wa gikeno kufurahia kana muraigua atia.
Yes.
Haya twende kazi.
Nituririkane njamba eno itu itagwo Don William.
Anasema my best friend.
My best friend.
All right, let's go.
Tuthie.
Oh yes.
You blessed girl on my finger. You brought love like I never know. You gave life to our children, and to me a reason to go. You're my bread when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from troubled winds. You're my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, you're my best friend. One more time, let's go. On my finger, you brought love like I'll never know. You gave life to our children, and to me, a reason to go. You're my bread when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from troubled winds. You're my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, you're my best friend.
You're my best friend. Goko gogeto mushi wa Nice TV. Wekenera.
When I need hope and inspiration, you're always strong. When I'm terribly weak, I could search this whole world over, you still be everything I need. You're my bread when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from troubled wind. You're my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, you're my best friend. You're my bread when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from troubled winds. You're my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, you're my best friend. One more time. You're my bread when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from troubled winds. You're my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, you're my best friend.
Most of all,
you're my best friend.
You're my best friend most of all. Let's go on. Country music.
Muthikiriria wiku mucii wikenere.
Inaitwa muciĩ wa gĩkeno Nice TV tugathiĩ na mbere na kũigua rwĩmbo atĩ na magatwĩra atĩ ndĩrona andũ nĩ marathiĩ na mbere na kwĩrorera na ngakĩona atĩ tuko tuned in na nĩ tũrakena mũno mwĩroreri witũ tũthiĩ na mbere na gũthũngũtha nyĩmbo cia gĩthũngũ. Oh yes.
One more time.
From around teacher, walking around the preacher, riding on a midnight bus, bound for Mexico. Was that a for vacation, and one for education? Two of them were searching for the soul. The driver never ever saw the stop sign. Waiting with a scan stop on earth. The wrong three wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. While there's no four of them, heaven only knows. Yes, it's know what to take when you leave this world behind you. To leave behind you when you go. They're from love to harvest, a home at 88. You growing this home. Teacher love to wisdom, brands of all the children. To give them all a better start. The preacher always began to see the promised land. As he learned his rise, the Bible knew. The wrong three wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. While there's no four of them, heaven only knows. Yes, you know what to take when you leave this world behind you. It's what to leave behind you when you go. Time. There are three wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. There's no four, heaven only knows. Yes, you know what to take when you leave this world behind you. To leave behind you when you go. There are on the right side of the highway. While there's no four of them, heaven only knows. Guess it's know what to take when you leave this world behind you. So what to leave behind you when you go.
Nice TV, muciĩ wa gĩkeno tugathiĩ na mbere na kuga hey, I'll be behind you. Oh yes. Ati mukauga atia?
Twekuo.
What is the song saying?
It's saying the three wooden crosses. It is what you take, and it is not what you leave behind. It is what you take when you go. It's not what you leave behind.
It doesn't matter what you leave behind.
Nega tuira turore muno. Turore muno. Une Jesu raria. Eni.
Agatwira turore muno. Yani leo kĩndũ kĩrĩa kĩrangenia nĩ atĩ ũmũthĩ tugire show itũ ni ya kuingia ndani rohoni hatarĩ kwarĩrĩria. Lazima tusikie hakuna kurudi nyuma, tunaenda mbele, si ndio? Ati na ngakwĩra gũkũ gũgetwo muciĩ wa Nice TV nĩkuo tũrakĩgwo nyĩmbo cia country music na tugathiĩ na mbere na gũgũcanjamũra wewe hau muciĩ. Tugikwira thiĩ na mbere na gũtwandĩkĩra SMS ciaku ũgĩtwĩra nĩ rwĩmbo rũrĩkũ ũrenda, na hihi ũmũthĩ ngagĩkwĩra ũmũthĩ tukĩrĩ na ageni na nĩ mũrakĩigua ũrĩa maragĩtũtwara wega. Wacha tusonge mbele, tuthiĩ na mbere tũigue gĩthũngũ ũrĩa kĩratũtwara. Twĩna cowboy ũmũthĩ na cowgirl.
Onawe no ũthake karwĩmbo gaka. Nĩma?
All right, let's go.
Ngegunegererie.
Onake cowgirl atũtware na rwĩmbo rũmwe. Na leo kweli ni moto moto. Turathakĩrwo ni the cowgirl na the cowboy. tugue gita ciothe uria cirathie. I hope everybody is tuning in. Nakwambia show iko moto moto kabisa. Tunasonga mbele na wacha nione vile watu wanasema huku tukisonga tu mbele. The Cowgirl. Tunakungoja utupeleke na hiyo wimbo kabisa. We are waiting. Ututware na rieng. Mogani go tutwara na rieng. Ututware na rieng ya the Cowgirl. Let's go. Tego kogeto mushi wa Nice TV. Country music.
In a coat of many colors.
Let's
One
go.
on demand. Back through the years, I go wandering once again. Back to the seasons of my youth, and I recall the box of rags someone gave us. How my mama put the rags to use. There were rags of many colors, and every piece was small, and I did it out of cold, and it just went on the floor. Mama sewed the rags together, every piece with love. She made my coat of many colors. She sewed, she told a story from the Bible she had read about a coat of many colors. Just a flow, and then she said, perhaps this coat will bring you good luck and happiness, and I couldn't wait to wear it, and Mama blessed it with a kiss. My coat of many colors that my Mama made for me, made only from rags, but I wore it so proudly. Although we had no money, I was as rich as I could be, in my coat of many colors my Mama made for me. My coat of many colors that my Mama made for me, made only from rags, but I wore it so proudly. Although we had no money, I was as rich as I could be, in my coat of many colors my Mama made for me. So with patches on my breeches, holes in both my shoes, in my coat of many colors, I hurried off to school, just to find the others loving and making fun of me, in my coat of many colors my Mama made for me. And I didn't understand it, for I felt that I was rich, and I told them of the love that and I told them of the story that my Mama sewed wide, and how my man of many colors was worth more than all their clothes. They didn't understand it, and I tried to make them see the one is only poor, only him they chose to be. I was as rich as I could be, in my coat of many colors my Mama made for me, made just for me.
In my coat of many colors, that's my Mama made for me.
Yes.
Tell us, what happened at that time that you used to be shy? People used to laugh for you when you had that coat of many colors. Na nimeona hiyo coat of many colors ilikuwa na request mingi sana. Can you explain to us what the song means?
It's all about appreciating the little thing that your parents or your mama gives to you. Like you see at this case, it's a little girl and a mother, and you can see out of the little that her mother ate, alimtengeneza ile coat of many colors. It was a beautiful thing, but maybe to other people they couldn't see it. But to the girl, she appreciated.
Alikuwa naona that coat was very important in her.
Yeah.
In as much as haikuwa ile colorful.
Sure.
Yari oro uguo. No we damakaga. tondu onaga yari very important. Mwirore witũ gakĩigua rwĩmbo rũu ruma na request nyingĩ mũno tũgakiuga nĩ wega mũno ũrĩa mũrathiĩ na mbere na kũ request nyĩmbo. Tũthiĩ na mbere na kũigua nyĩmbo ici cia country music tũgĩkwĩraga ũrĩa kũrathiĩ na mbere. Let's go.
Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling
empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, I hope this day is good.
Lord,
Have you forgotten me? I've been praying to you faithfully. I'm not saying I'm a righteous man, but Lord, I hope this day is good.
Oh yes.
Throws down the rain, but when you're feeling lost, how it will be. It's not a good day for me. Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, I hope this day is good.
you'll be the king since the dawn of time. Send down the title, Lord, send down the rain. But when you're planning just how it to be, then I would
Then for me, Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. Lord, I'm thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, I hope this day is good.
And I hope this day is cool. Oh yes. Nice TV mushi wa gĩkeno. Twende kusonga forever.
forever.
Hallelujah.
Ona kwe.
Twende kuenda.
Ona nĩ ngwenda ũhe kobia gaka. Ucia nĩko karatũma
Marugati forever kuenda. Na gakiona andũ nĩ marathiĩ na kwĩrorera ngona Beatrice Nduati thĩinĩ na gakiona Nzuki Brian ona ake thĩinĩ biũ. Na gakiugo thiĩ na mbere na go tune in twĩ haha tugikuhe country music. Muthi na mbere na gutwirorera guku kwi mucii wa gĩkeno ito Nice TV na kwa mwena wa YouTube ni Nice TV Kenya. Oh yes. Country boy. Ukauga ni gothi na ndirona kwina mundu urenda namba.
Nĩma.
Utawapatia au vipi?
Nitawapea.
Kabisa. Country girl. Namba ni ukoneana? Sawa. Tusonge kusonga. Naona kuna forever hapa.
You're maybe that I'm talking fully. Girl, I'm wild and I'm free. You may wonder how I can promise you now this love that I feel for you always will be. You're not just someone that I'm killing. I'm no longer one of those guys. Sure as I live, this love that I give is gonna be yours until the day that I die. Oh darling, I'm gonna love you forever, forever and ever, amen. As long as old men sit and talk about the weather, as long as old women sit and talk about romance. If you wonder how long I'll be faithful, I'll be happy to tell you again. I'm gonna love you forever and ever, forever
Nice TV, muciĩ wa gĩkeno. Tupate huko kwa YouTube.
Andũ au kahũra ũmũthĩ na kondi ici tũmenyerete rĩ. Ke tũkarurumia na ũndũ ũngĩ.
Oh yes.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, shed on over a river. Life is all there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, back to mama. Take me home down country road. Asa. Nitugacokere no ũndũ ũngĩ. Kahora mũno nigetha tugafeel.
Country home. Take me home where I belong. Ugo ndio mnaenda gutwira leo. Watupeleke nyumbani mahali tunafaa tuende kazi.
Okahora. Almost heaven. West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, shot over a river. Life is all there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, back to mama. Take me home down country road. All my memories gather around her. Minus lady, stranger through blue water. Duck and Justine painted on the sky. Misty tears the moonshine, teardrops in my eyes. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, back to mama. Take me home down country road. One more time, I wanna hear you. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, back to mama. Take me home down country road. I hear her voice in the morning, how she calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road again, the feeling that I should have yesterday. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, back to mama. Take me home down country road. I wanna you louder. Country home, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, back to mama. Take me home down country road.
Take me home. Country road, take me home to where I belong. Na gakiona ningĩ nĩ tũrathiĩ na mbere naona watu wanaendelea kutune in. Ngona Susan Kuria ekuo mũno na ngona nginya nake MC Ngae ekuo biũ. Twende katambe kutamba, twende kabisa.
Tuone Mugithi ũyũ mũirũ nĩ waũ.
Kwĩna nginya Mugithi mũirũ
nĩ ndĩraona.
Haya, tusonge kusonga. Ino getu Nice TV, muciĩ wa gĩkeno. Na kwa YouTube ugatuona na muciĩ wa gĩkeno, yani Nice TV Kenya. Na kwa Facebook unatupata na Facebook unatupata muciĩ wa gĩkeno Nice TV. Thiĩ na mbere na gũtũtũmĩra SMS yaku nigetha tukione ũrĩa ũrathiĩ na mbere na gũtwĩrorera. Twende kusonga.
Gwenda muine ta andu macuka ndege oro riu kuma West Virginia. Eni.
Sawa, tuhe rwimbo rũu rwa West Virginia.
Ona ngukuhe long black train. Mugithi uyu muiro. No nginya tuurore.
Okay.
Tuone uhana atia.
Haya, tusonge.
Long train going down the line, feeding on the song, the lost and crying, rains of sins on river remains. Watch out, brother, for the long train. To the left, you just go to the sky. You can find redemption steering back to your right. There is protection and the space the same. Burning a ticket for the long train. Was there's a victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Bring to the Father and His holy name. Don't go riding on the long train. But you know there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Bring to the Father and His holy name. Don't go riding on the long black train. On the long black train, making everyone with their eyes for the pain. He's just waiting on your heart to say, love me go riding on the long black train. But you know there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Cling to the Father and His holy name. Don't go riding on the long black train. But you know there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Cling to the Father and His holy name. Don't go riding on the long black train.
There is victory in the Lord, I see. Otara twambĩrĩirie na kũrikĩra na ndakiona tũrarĩkĩrĩrio na kũrikĩra na ngakiona na ngacokia ngatho nĩ andũ arĩa othe makorwo magĩtwĩrorera, ngona mathaa maitũ nĩ marakorwo magĩtũteng'eria na ngakiuga atĩ thengio mũno kũrĩ arĩa othe makorwo magĩtwĩrorera. Nĩ tũgacemania haha rĩngĩ mũthenya wa Wednesday. Country boy na country girl.
Yes.
Kuna watu hapa wanasema wanataka namba na nĩ mwageithio mũno na makiuga atĩ nĩ mũramakenia mũno. Next time mugoka nĩgetha mũkĩmarũgũthirie mũringithirie rwĩmbo ta rũu rĩngĩ rwa country music tiguo. Ona magakorwo magĩkena mũno na ngakiona mathaa maitũ nĩ maratũteng'eria gũtũteng'eria. Ngakwĩra atĩ tũgacemania haha rĩngĩ o mũthenya wa Wednesday kuma thaa 2 nginya thaa 3 gũkũ gũgetwo mũciĩ wa Gĩkeno Nice TV. Facebook unatupata na Mushi wa Gĩkeno Nice TV, na kwa YouTube ugatukora na Nice TV Kenya. Na tunafurahia sana kwa wale wote wametutazama. Haleluya. Gauga haleluya. Tiga kuga amen. Ndiroga haleluya ni tondu twakorwo tukirikia na rwimbo ruhana rwa mahoya. Na ningĩ twambĩrĩirie na rwimbo ruhana rwa mahoya au sio? Ni gũkena na gũcanjamũka. Sasa zingine ni vizuri tugakira Ngai nĩ thengio ona wakĩigua itiguo tondu nĩwe gĩtũkinyĩtie harĩa atukinyĩtie. Tukauga nĩ thengio. We salute you kwa kila mmoja amekuwa akitutazama. Tukakusalute muno na tukauga tutaonana tena hapa Wednesday kutoka saa 2 mpaka saa 3. Man gita.
Yes.
Tutware na kamwisho kagita tukirekereria.
Kĩrĩmũ tware na kamwisho.
Tukirekereria.
Inema.
Thogota kithungu. Oya.
Nĩguo.
Twende kusonga.
Betting that I'm talking fully. You may have a world and I'm free. You may wonder how I can promise you now.
This love that I feel for you always will be. You're not just time that I'm killing. I'm no longer one of those guys. As sure as I live, this love that I give is gonna be yours until the day that I die. Oh baby, I'm gonna love you forever, forever and ever, amen. As long as no man sit and talk about the weather, as long as the women sit and talk about the men. If you wonder how long I'll be faithful, hurt me to tell you again, I'm gonna love you forever and ever, forever and ever, amen.
Na kwena mundu rugati atakirwo mugithi. Sijui kama anataka mugithi. Kwena mundu uretwo Jerry aranjira atiriri nichezeni mugithi moja. Ndio kana ngitake igwa sawa ikane atia hihi. Lakini nauza kwa sababu ya wakati reke twambe turikiririe hau. Mwirori witu nitugacemania haha rege. Reke turikiririe hau nitukonana rege. Salute you and thank you for watching. Tupatane tena mahali hapa. Na gakwira ati guku ni muci wa Nice TV na orege gakwira ati guku nuko tugacemania mwena wa YouTube tukeita YouTube Nice TV Kenya. Oh yes.
Amen.
Introduction ya mwisho turikiririe.
Never. David Josh. Oria Jugire. And I'm a country player. Ithaka country music.
No mahe namba.
Namba yako ni 0784 544 935.
Oh yes.
Negusokera 0784 544 935. Ndio namba yako.
Oh yes. In case you read a country music no muone nake country gala getu.
I'm Jessica Brown, Gitonga, and I play this thing. This is my guru in this.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you and we salute you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Nice TV, the home of joy.
The hard work begins. In fact, some of that hard work is going to begin later today. This day is only just beginning. They're going to be heading over to Arlington Cemetery for a wreath laying over at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And the new president will be there with former presidents Obama, Bush 43, and Clinton. There will also be this huge virtual parade, a parade across America, with performers from all 50 states, 6 territories. That will be significant. And then the new president will sign a whole bunch of executive orders, getting rid of several decisions, several policy decisions, executive orders signed by the now former president of the United States. And then later tonight, a primetime performance. It's going to be a celebration, an inaugural concert that CNN will, of course, have live coverage of throughout the night. So our coverage is going to continue for hours and hours, and you're going to want to see this historic day unfold. Jamie Gangel is getting GOP reaction to President Biden's speech. So what are you hearing?
Wolf, I spoke to a half dozen different Republicans, including some former Trump administration officials, and I heard the same thing from all of them, which, quote, phew, we can all exhale, moving on. One former Trump administration official said this is, quote, a new chapter, literally coming together. On a lighter note, there were 2 officials. One said Chief Justice Roberts looks relieved, and another Republican said he's not the only one. And just finally, I heard this throughout the day from a lot of Republicans who were texting me, who said they were actually glad that Donald Trump was not there, that it was important that it was Joe Biden's day and moving on. Wolf?
Arlette Saenz is with us. She's our newest White House correspondent, having covered the Biden campaign, the Biden transition. Now she'll be covering the Biden presidency. Arlette, what are you bracing for?
Well, Wolf, you heard President Biden issuing this call to unity, which was really a hallmark from the very beginning of his campaign when he declared this as a battle for the soul of the nation. But right after he made these calls for unity, the president also made it clear that he is ready to get right to work. In fact, both President Biden and Vice President Harris have now tweeted from the official POTUS and VP accounts on Twitter. And President Biden tweeted, "There is no time to waste when it comes to tackling the crises we face. That's why today I am heading to the Oval Office to get right to work delivering bold action and immediate relief for American families." Now, later this afternoon, the president will spend some time in the Oval Office where he will be signing some executive orders, some of them undoing policies from the Trump administration, including that reversing that ban on travelers from Muslim majority countries. There will also be items relating to the pandemic. He will be signing an executive action that would require masks in all federal buildings. He can't quite mandate masks nationwide, but he is encouraging that during this pandemic, people do embrace mask wearing. And we have also heard from Vice President Harris on Twitter, who said she is ready to serve. Now, it is also worth noting that Biden is now part of two historic White Houses. He first served alongside President Obama, the first African American to serve as president. And now Biden is going to the White House and bringing with him the first woman, the first also Black woman and South Asian woman. And you heard him in his remarks say, "Don't tell me things can't change." And I also just want to note what an emotional moment this was for the Biden family, as Beau Biden is also always top of mind for them. And today, the Biden family will be going from Wilmington to the White House.
Very important. It was very emotional. And Anderson, I was especially moved when we heard the new president say and do something that we probably never heard the former president say. He offered a silent prayer in memory of the 400,000 Americans who have lost their lives to this coronavirus.
You're watching there the Clintons heading off from the inauguration. I want to bring in CNN contributor Kate Anderson-Brower, CNN presidential historian Tim Naftali. Tim, just from a standpoint of history and other inaugural addresses and inaugural events, as we see the Obamas leaving as well, what did you make of this one?
This President Biden's inaugural address was a powerful confection of Lincoln, St. Augustine, and Joe Biden. In fact, I think it's among the most Lincoln-esque of the modern inaugural addresses. And in quoting St. Augustine, I think he laid out a path for unity. Unity could be a meaningless phrase, but what he said is he evoked St. Augustine by saying, we want to find the common objects of our love. And then he defined them: respect, security, opportunity, and yes, truth. And it was his way of saying, we don't have to agree on tax policy. But what we need, what we are clamoring for now, is unity on the big things that matter, the things that hold us together as Americans. And the other note is that he made this note of American values. He was pushing against the idea that we are a hopelessly divided society with different value systems. He was driving home his belief, his hope, that we really have one value system, but it is due to misinformation and disinformation that we've divided into these tribes. So it was a hopeful, powerful message that channeled previous presidents, but with very characteristic Biden-esque turns of phrase.
Kate Anderson-Brower, for you, what stood out? Because it wasn't just Biden's speech. I mean, the entire morning has been a morning where faith has been front and center, something obviously very important in a very real way for this president. What did you make of today? sorry, we're having problems with Kate. Tim, just in terms of what happens now, the challenges that this president now faces, how does it compare to, or how do you compare it to other presidents?
Great political opportunity. Right now, the country is desperate for a path forward through this pandemic. We know that thanks to the vaccines, we will get through this. The question is how quickly. And once we get through this, our economy, which is beginning to recover, although our unemployment rate is still high, it too will bounce back. And so President Biden and Vice President Harris's first objective is one that Republicans share with Democrats, which is to get us through this pandemic and recover economically. So I see there a remarkable opportunity for President Biden to acquire political capital if he focuses, as I expect he will, on the pandemic. So that's the next step, I think. There will, of course, be other changes that he is going to make today, but his main goal will have to be dealing with the pandemic. I believe that's what America expects, and I think it's what he'll deliver.
See if we have Kate Anderson. Oh, we still don't have Kate. Tim, in terms of challenges, though, there's the pandemic, which is clearly the top priority for this administration. The Obama administration, when they came in, they thought they were facing, perhaps the greatest challenge a president had faced in modern times or in recent history. Arguably, the challenges this administration is facing are even greater.
Yes, there's the political crisis. In part, dealing with the pandemic, I believe, will provide an opening to dealing with the political crisis. President Biden, in his inaugural address, also showed determination to deal with the darkness associated with January 6th. He made it clear that while he will be president of all people, he will not countenance violent dissent. He was extremely strong on that point, and clearly January 6th influenced this inaugural address. So I expect investigations to go forward. I hope Congress will work with the executive branch, and so that the violent side of the dissent that tried to overturn our election will be dealt with. So the political crisis will not be far from his mind, but I think he's right to see a bridge to Republicans that we can build while dealing with the pandemic.
Kate Anderson Brower, what did you think of what you heard today?
Well, I think what President Biden was trying to do was remind us of who we are as Americans. And I was very struck by what he said about the exhausting outrage of the last 4 years. And, that the dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer. And that we'll go back to these, engaging in the international order and our alliances abroad. And I was also struck by what he said, saluting President Carter and thanking the presidents who went before him and the presidents who we'll see at Arlington with him. And in a way, it was just getting us back to normal. And what
diversity in the performance, a message of change there, and then in signing these documents and sending up, a new team that has a very different approach to government than the Trump team. President Trump, now former President Trump, never respected the government, never filled a lot of the lower level jobs, and he needed that government in the pandemic. One of the reasons it was so miserably mismanaged was because he did not have a team in place, and then he rejected science and logic and the type. So the official part of this is incredibly important. By the end of the day, the United States will be back in the Paris Climate Accords, or at least the paperwork will be signed. The Trump Muslim travel ban will be abandoned by President Biden. So you're beginning to see the new policy agenda, but I still think the most important point on this day are these images, the flags, our monuments, this city, and again, it's a giant challenge to carry it through, and I think Joe Biden was very candid and very plain-spoken language about how tough it will be to govern in this world where leaders, including the former president, lie and try to create their own facts. That is a giant challenge for this new president going forward, but I think just the plain-spoken language in which he candidly addressed it, essentially a come on to the American people. Shake out of this funk. Let's try to work together on the big things. The pandemic does not know politics. A struggling economy does not discriminate based on politics. That is his challenge and his opportunity in these early days.
And let's not forget, in addition to being the president of the United States now, President Biden, he's going to be signing these important documents over at the Capitol, but he's also the commander-in-chief. The commander-in-chief of the U.S. military, and on the east front of the U.S. Capitol, that's coming up fairly soon, President Biden will review the readiness of military troops. This is called a military pass in review. It'll be hosted by the commander of the Joint Task Force National Capital Region, but it will underscore, John, that he is, yes, president, but he's also commander-in-chief, and there's a whole new world out there for military readiness, threats to the United States, national security and foreign policy. As you and I well know, we covered now President Biden for many years when he was a senator and vice president. National security, foreign policy is a huge, huge matter for him.
Absolutely, which is another reason he wants to get the team in place, and one of the reasons he offered a very comforting message. If you're a member of the NATO alliance, and former President Trump sort of thumbed you in the eye for 4 years, Joe Biden said America will be re-engaged in the world. He talked about our power, but more importantly, the power of our example and leading through example. Very different. Again, change is the word you're going to hear repeatedly from me today, because Joe Biden is going to reset just about every compass point of U.S. policy and of the personal character of the man who lives in the White House. You mentioned that the commander-in-chief role. We were on the pictures of Lady Gaga singing the national anthem, but what was remarkable to me, number one, this was a safe ceremony. We have this unprecedented security here. Things went off safely and quietly and calmly. Number two, you have this unprecedented number of National Guard troops here in the nation's capital. They were saluting during the national anthem, as of course is tradition and as is proper. As Lady Gaga sang the national anthem, it was just quite a striking scene to look down from our balcony here as it was playing out and watch the hundreds of young men and women deployed from National Guard units all across the country standing straight up in salute as the national anthem sung by Lady Gaga. I'm going to use the word cool. It was cool.
Yeah, it was very moving. It was very, and she did an amazing job, I must say. I'm a huge Lady Gaga fan over the years, indeed. You know, if there's something else that's going to happen this afternoon that we're not paying that much attention to, but which is so significant. The Democrats will become the majority in the United States Senate. 3 senators elect: John Ossoff, Raphael Warnock of Georgia, Alex Padilla, California. They will be United States senators. The new vice president will swear them in. And as a result, Mitch McConnell will now become the minority leader, and Chuck Schumer, John, becomes the majority leader. How important is that?
Critical. And again, back to that word change. This is a dramatic day of change for the United States government. And the fact that it'll be the narrowest of majorities, 50-50, with Vice President Harris breaking the tie. But Joe Biden has no cabinet members confirmed on this day. One of the reasons for that is because up until that ceremony happens in a few short minutes, Republicans controlled the chamber and they dragged their feet. They would not give hearings to the Biden nominees. They said it was because of the coronavirus. Then they did have some legitimate concerns after the insurrection. But it is not normal that we don't have at least the Defense Secretary, the Department of Homeland Security since 9/11, the Secretary of State. Normally, no matter whether it's a Democrat or Republican, the Senate tries to get those teed up so that they can be confirmed on this first day. But by the end of this day, Another dramatic change. Again, the narrowest of majorities, which will still make it hard for Joe Biden to get big policy initiatives through. But you do control the Senate floor. You control the committees. Therefore, the Biden team can now move much more quickly through the United States Senate.
And now, for the first time in a while, the Democrats will not only be in the White House, control the White House, but the House of Representatives narrowly and the Senate very, very narrowly. But the Democrats are the majority.
Right. Just as when President Trump came to town, he had a Republican Senate and a Republican House. Joe Biden, the Democrats now have complete control of Washington. I will say the Democratic majority in the House is very narrow. The Democratic majority in the Senate is the narrowest possible. Again, 50-50 with the vice president. This will be one of the creative political tensions of this new administration, because the Republicans are saying, your majorities are very close. This was a close election climate. The Republicans actually picked up seats in the House. You should go slow, Mr. President. You should reach out to us, Mr. President. That's what the Republicans will say. The progressives, especially in the Democrat crowd, will say, go bold. We have the power. Let's use it. Let's use it on climate change. Let's use it on healthcare policy. Let's use it on economic policies. This will be one of the constant tensions of the Biden administration. Again, one of the leadership challenge he faces. At the moment, Democrats are united. They are joyous, overjoyed at this day. When it comes to some of the policy issues, there will be tension. But I will say this, Wolf, I'm looking at my emails during the last segment, getting emails from both Democrats and Republicans about policy questions. God forbid we actually have policy debates in Washington. We didn't have many of those in the Trump administration. The repeal and replace, the Obamacare debate early on, the Trump tax cuts. But otherwise, it was about what Trump wanted, not about policy.
That's Lady Gaga, we can see right there. She performed the national anthem. She sang the national anthem and did an amazing job, as she always does. But go ahead, finish your thought, John.
Well, it's just this town, again, this government, again, is going to debate big, substantial policies. First, a new Biden stimulus plan. More money for Americans struggling, more money for small businesses, a realignment of the public health infrastructure to try to surge vaccines. Then climate change. For 4 years, the President of the United States, with the help of Republicans in Congress, have denied climate change. That's denying science. It's denying fact. We can have a policy debate about what to do with it. That's what we will have now in the Biden presidency. There are so many issues we could tick through. Joe Biden tonight will send up to the Congress immigration legislation to create a path to citizenship in 8 years for the undocumented here in the United States. A policy debate. Again, as someone who is a creature of the Senate, who believes the Congress should debate the big issues facing the country, it will be fascinating to watch a president with very, very narrow majorities in the Congress decide, let's talk about big issues. Let's vote. Let's bring things to the floor. Let's try to settle policy. Let's vote it out.
Hovering over all of this right now, there's still no doubt, Jake, the number one issue facing this country, I think it's fair to say, is the coronavirus pandemic. 400,000 Americans have died over the past year, and many, many more thousands are dying almost every single day.
That's right. And the incoming White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, told us this morning that without question, fighting the coronavirus pandemic, fixing the failed rollout of the vaccine, that's the top priority for President Biden and Vice President Harris, without question, in addition, of course, to the economic catastrophe that the virus has wreaked and the educational problems, the challenges with so many kids not in in-person school. And those are going to be the priorities. He has already laid out a $1.9 trillion plan that would be for economic relief, that would be for the battling the virus. And obviously, this is going to be a challenge, the number one challenge for his presidency, although they have already said it's going to take months before any of the American people see any sort of results of their efforts, which really can only begin today. Because remember, the Trump administration, because President Trump refused to accept the results of the election and in fact was fighting it figuratively and then through his supporters, his crazed supporters 2 weeks ago, quite literally refused to even allow democracy to proceed. And that's going to be a real challenge. We'll see, Dana, as a scholar of the Congress, you have a real expertise as to what President Biden will be able to accomplish and what he might have a more difficult time accomplishing. Democrats control the House and the Senate, but by the narrowest of margins. Can he get a $2 trillion package through Congress?
No, but the Biden now administration, his top advisors, they know that, but they also know negotiations 101, which is why you start with the biggest.
We just saw the president and vice president walking through the Congress there. They are on their way to the president's room of the Capitol, where he will sign some documents, and we'll bring that to you live when it happens. Please proceed, Dan. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And I, this, we're looking, well, now it's gone, but those halls were the very ones we were looking at 2 weeks ago with somebody just right there with the Confederate flag. But in any event, they know, back to the question about negotiations, they know full well that they won't get that, but you start big, and then you know that you have to work your way down. What we need to always remember about Joe Biden is that he's walked those halls. He's done the negotiating. I mean, as you know, from covering Congress, there are members of Congress who like to go to the cameras and they don't understand, or they don't really care that much about the art of legislating. Joe Biden actually liked to do both. He understands the art of legislating and understands what is necessary to get something actually done. And, I've been listening to the audiobook of The Promised Land, President Obama's memoirs, and I'm at the part right now where he is talking about how he and Joe Biden, when he was vice president, started just like this. On day one, they had to hit the ground running because of the financial crisis. And now Joe Biden, President Biden, is in a situation where he's got a different financial crisis, an economic crisis, and a health crisis. So it's almost double the challenge that President Obama had just 8 years ago.
And it's for all of those reasons that you're going to see Joe Biden and his administration just start with executive orders. They're not even going to start with trying to get legislation through. And a lot of them are going to be about directing relief to people who, like, for example, dreamers who have lived under a cloud of uncertainty under the Trump administration, executive orders rescinding President Trump's so-called Muslim ban that was signed in the early days of the Trump administration. There are going to be things related to COVID that are about providing direction to states and localities, ramping up testing. So there's going to be a big effort beginning today, really, to roll out as much as possible on the federal side. And the truth is, when it comes to the coronavirus, the big failure of the previous administration was their indifference to the role of the federal government in helping to manage this crisis.
Yeah, states were on their own,
level.
basically.
Exactly, states were on their own. And it's not to say that the federal government has control over everything in this process. But